Hi besties, welcome or welcome back, or if you're new, hi, my name is Laura. April has been the most amazing reading month so far. Girls, I discovered new authors, I found a new favorite series, and I even gave 2 books 5 stars, like... So far this reading year has been amazing. Now I have a bunch of new recommendations for you girls. Let's get into the video. I finally did it and dove into Windy City series, and the first book is Mile High. Now let me tell you, this is a brick to swallow, especially for a romance book. This is huge. This is a contemporary and steamy romance between an ice hockey player and a flight attendant. She works for him, well, for his team. Evan works this persona that he's ruthless on the ice and he leaves every match or every day or weekend with a new woman. At least that is what his agent tells him to be and what the media portrays him as. Little do we all know he isn't the bad boy or playboy that everybody thinks he is. And he has the most amazing and cutest relationship with his best friend Madison and his daughter. I just have a weakness when characters are so close and have such a good relationship with children in the story. Then we have Stevie, the flight attendant, and at first she doesn't fall for his charm. She's like, don't talk to me, I only work for you and you are the biggest diva I ever worked for. Oh no, I'm spilling my water. Oops. I think Stevie is a character you will automatically kinda enjoy and like. She is pretty relatable in a certain type of way, but also not, because she lives, I believe, in a penthouse because her brother is also a very famous athlete. He's a basketball player, and I know one of the other books are about him, and I'm so looking forward to that because I adore that brother. I adored him so much. But instead of wanting designer clothes and all the glam, she is more of a thrift shop kind of girly, and she prefers to be in sweatpants. And I thought their whole relationship and character development was so incredibly beautiful. The author also shone a light on mental health because Evan is in therapy and Evan also has a charity about mental health. We see Stevie struggle from her body insecurities to actually embracing herself. It definitely wasn't my favorite romance book ever. Again, it is way too thick. And I know so many people actually hate this book, and don't get me wrong, I did not like Evan, the male main character, at first, okay? I actually hated him. I thought, oh, you are not my cup of tea. You are so yuck. He gave me the ick within the first 10 pages. I literally wanted to punch him. I was like, no, I'm not going to read this book. But I'm really glad I continued because I absolutely love them now. And I can't wait to read the rest of the stories. I gave this book 3 stars. In a few days, I'll be meeting the author of Cleopatra, and I cannot wait. And I'm so glad I've picked up this book because, girls, this was amazing. I listened to the audiobook whilst reading. I literally do not know what to say. This is a feminist retelling of the life of Cleopatra, and it was just wow. You don't only read about the love she has for her children and for her lovers, but also the love she has for Egypt. The way the story was written, you could feel she lived and breathed Egypt, and I thought that was so incredibly beautiful. I do not hand out 5 stars that easily, but this was incredibly gorgeous. 5 stars for sure. I continue the Caraval series. Yeah, I didn't really know if I would be able to do this. I'm not gonna lie. In my opinion, this series is overhyped. I'm so sorry. I genuinely thought I would enjoy this a whole lot more, maybe if I were younger. But out of all these books, I still think Caraval is the best out of them. And even Caraval, I gave 3 stars, or maybe 3.5. It was alright, it was mid. So Caraval is this magical place that only happens once a year, I believe. And we follow the story of 2 sisters, Scarlett and Donatella. Donatella is this wild card and goes on adventures, and basically Scarlett was trying to save her every single time. In Caraval, we follow Scarlett going into Caraval, trying to finish and play the game in order to save and find Donatella. And then the other books, Donatella was just irritating me so incredibly much. I don't know if she is just this naive, adventurous young sister, but she gave me the ick. And for some reason, I kind of felt if Stephanie Garber, the author, didn't like Scarlett. I feel like she did Scarlett's love interest, Julian, pretty wrong, because I ended up not liking him as much anymore. The love interest who Donatella ended up with, I was like, girl, we're keeping it in the family, I guess. So if you're a teenager and watching this video and you might want to pick up Caraval, then I would say, of course, I recommend. But no, it just didn't meet my expectations personally. Then we also have the novella, and even though this is gorgeous, okay, the illustrations, everything, this is beautiful. But the story, first of all, it was so unnecessary. And second of all, it got a little bit spicy. There was a kidnapping scene. I was like, what am I reading? Like, oh. Oh, but I mainly read the series just so I could go to Once Upon a Broken Heart. Y'all told me to read Caraval first before Once Upon a Broken Heart. I did. Yesterday I got a comment on my TikTok by a girl who asked if she should read Caraval before this because she preferred to read this one. And I said yes. Now listen, you do not need to, okay? You can read the series separately, but I definitely recommend reading Caraval before Once Upon a Broken Heart because Once Upon a Broken Heart takes place after the events of Caraval. But it was really fun reading about the sisters again. So this story is about the Prince of Hearts, Jax, and Eva. Or Evangeline. So Eva is this really pretty girl with rosé gold hair, and she was in love with this boy who is now about to get married to her stepsister. The entire scene kind of felt like a Cinderella-inspired story. You know, like the girl with a wicked stepmother and is a wicked step-sibling. She goes to pray to Jax, the Prince of Hearts, and prays that this wedding is going to be stopped. Because, hello, she was supposed to be with that boy. She wanted to put an end to this. So Jax shows up and he fulfills her wish. One thing you need to know, you never make a deal or bargain with Fae or Fate. The story takes off from there because I do not want to spoil everything, but it was just so much more fun and I cannot wait to read the rest of the books. I'm excited. Then I read Aisha. This story is inspired by both the Moroccan myth as the Portuguese occupation of Morocco. And I feel two types of way about this because yes, I did enjoy it enough to finish it, but I expected way more of this story. I think halfway through I got kind of bored because I thought a lot of it was just repetitive. I was just expecting more of the epic fantasy as it was promised. The romance in the story kind of felt flat to me because their relationship was already established at the beginning of the book. It kind of felt as if their romance was just told instead of felt. Nevertheless, I do recommend it and I gave it 3 stars. I feel like the whole colonizing and occupation that was happening, that was so well done and I was just feeling the anger they felt. It is more a historical fiction in my opinion with fantasy elements here and there. This is also the debut by this author and I cannot wait to read what she has in store next because I do think she has great promise. Bestie, you can never go wrong with Katherine Cowles. This is my 3rd book that I read by her. All the Missing Pieces. Amazing. There hasn't been a book by her. Well, I only read 3, but that's besides the point. That I gave 3.5 stars or lower. No, not even lower than 4 stars. She has become one of my newest favorite authors. She writes romance with suspense. Romance stories with a murder mystery side plot. I love me some thrillers and romance, so combining these two, oh, as if my eyes are eating a dessert the entire time. It's just... Ridley Sawyer has her own murder mystery podcast. And she knows what it's like to miss somebody. Her twin sister disappeared a few years ago after they both went to a party. Her life has never been the same again. With her podcast and doing some research, she's trying to solve other cases that the police or FBI didn't solve. She is good enough that she did in fact solve some of the crimes. And instead of letting the loss of her twin sister consume her, she is actively living every single day. Her life's motto is that she is living for the 2 of them. I flipping love every single female character I've read so far by Katherine Cowles. They are all just so incredibly strong and brave and I'm kind of looking up to that. I am. Now for a true crime podcast, she's going over to a little town where a woman was abducted but able to get away. Well, that is until a certain broody sheriff gets in her way. Sheriff Cole Brooks. A few years ago, the life of him and his town went upside down after his sister went missing as well, but came back, walking on her own, completely distraught. His sister's life has never been the same, and she doesn't leave the house, she doesn't interact with anybody, she just sits at home, doesn't come outside. She is so traumatized and scared because her capture has never been caught and still walking out there. They did not hit it off right away. There was this fierce and this tension between them, but obviously since it is a romance story, all of that is getting resolved, and slowly the town is letting Ridley help them and explore the case. Because Ridley is actually the only one so far who has been able to connect her sister's disappearing to a few other cases, and the same with the sister of Cole. It was amazing. Please go pick it up. Then I read 2 arcs. The first one is from Salaam, The Moon Apple of the Elves. This is the 3rd book in the series. This is just an amazing young adult fantasy series and it is so much fun. This is actually the first time I read about an Elven king who was just amazing and he truly cared about his staff and his people. He was just so kind instead of just being mean and grumpy and broody. The series is about a group of girls. We have fae, human, elf, and they are trying to find a cure for their dying sister. They know how to cure her, they just need to steal a piece of something from every single kingdom. Easier said than done, right? That's what I thought. So in the 3rd book we follow Lena, who has to steal the moon apple in the Elven kingdom. And somehow she ends up being in this painting competition to be the next royal painter for the king. A huge problem because Lena cannot paint. I love all these female characters and the found family trope is one of my favorites ever. It's just really fun to read about the adventures these girls go on and the new friends they make along the way, the new pets they meet, and the fact that they would do anything and everything in order to save that little kid. I love women so much. Keeping my eye out for the 4th book. 4 stars as well. Then I read The Arc of Love, Overboard, and guys, this book really surprised me. This is the first time I read anything by this author. It was pretty long, but I devoured it. Amber gets a dream job as chief steward on a yacht. She is great at problem solving in a creative way, and I just really liked how for every new guest they did something new. It's just really fun to read about the deck life. And this yachting season she was supposed to show her parents what she's good at and what she really loves in order to make them proud. Because her parents do not agree with the life she chose for herself. The only problem is that her ex and his new girlfriend are working at the same yacht, at the same crew, and she's their chief. The new girlfriend also happens to be Amber's new roommate. Yay! So obviously the two exes are shocked that they have to work together, and to make it even more dramatic, their every single move and interaction is being filmed by this camera crew because they are also filming a new season for the reality TV show. I used to love watching reality TV so much, and reading about it is a lot of fun because you also see the interviews and the behind the scenes, you know, it is so much drama. Besides how much I enjoyed the story, I need to give a round of applause to the author because she truly wrote it so well that I believe she actually worked as a steward on a deck before. I don't know if she did her research that well, but it was amazing. Then I read, or tried to read, Love Story by Lindsay Kelk. This was a hard DNF for me, unfortunately. I didn't really connect with the story or the characters. I immediately sold my book after DNFing it, so I think that says enough. We have 4 more books to go, including one of my new favorite series. But first we're going to Love from A to Z. This is a halal Muslim romance story, young adult. I feel so bad saying this, but I didn't like this at all. Couldn't connect to the characters. I thought Zainab was so incredibly self-centered and just annoying. I feel like if you were able to have a conversation with her, she would make everything about world problems and get angry all the time. I just felt her angerment, and it was consuming her and me as a reader as well. She's struggling with a very Islamophobic teacher at school. So I do understand the anger, and I do understand she wants to do something about it and change the world and be an activist and whatever. And that is a really good quality to have. I do applaud her for that. It's the way she's been handling things. I'm like, girl, you're annoying. I'm so sorry. I did not like her character at all. And it's really sad because I truly wanted to enjoy the story. A lot of you have recommended this book to me, and it's been on my TBR for quite a while now. Things felt so forced, and I did not enjoy the relationship between Zainab and Adam at all. I felt there was no chemistry. She's not my cup of tea, unfortunately. Then 2 psychological thrillers. He Was a Liar by Daniel Hurst. Now, before I get into it, the sister in this book was annoying. Like, she was so dumb and naive. I'm like, girl. I'm saying girl a lot, but girl, for real. I genuinely blame her. Let me just leave it at that. I blame her. I blame the sister for the plot twist at the end. The story is mainly about Sarah, who has this loving husband, Paul, but unfortunately due to a tragic car accident, he passed away. So now Sarah is at home being surrounded by his things he will never use again. Trying to find some comfort, she's going through his stuff, and then she stumbles upon some emails on his laptop. After doing some digging, she finds out some disturbing and troubling things, and now she thinks, maybe I didn't know my loving partner the way I thought I knew, and maybe he wasn't as perfect as she thought he was. He's been keeping some dark secrets. Sarah keeps digging for the truth, but then she finds out that there are other people around her who will do anything to keep the truth hidden, and now she's in danger. 3.5 stars, it was exciting. If you like the reality TV shows about real estate, such as Selling Sunset, Selling the OC, but make it a thriller, then you should read The Surprise Party. Blair Banks is a top agent at this real estate agency, but she almost died on her 40th birthday party. She didn't fall down the stairs on her own. So now the question is, who did it? Was it her husband after having some marriage troubles? Maybe some jealous colleagues? Her boss, who she keeps her secret for? Her neighbor, whose husband she had an affair with? Or was there someone else in the house? This is a quick read. I gave it 3 stars. It was just fine. I'm saving the best 2 for last because, this has been amazing. I keep smiling every time I think about this series. I started reading the Bourbon Boy series. This series did not disappoint me in any shape, way or form. I had no expectations going into this series, but it came out with 5 stars. Bourbon and Lies was 5 stars for me. Bourbon and Secrets 4.5. I immediately went online to find the 3rd book because I listened to the audiobook, and now I'm waiting for all 3 books to arrive soon. Again, as said, I'm a fan of romance with suspense now, Katherine Cowles. So if you enjoy that, pick up this series. Victoria Wilder, you're my girl. I found out yesterday, by the way, that she's following me on TikTok, so I immediately hit that follow back button. I'm just giggling on my feet. Okay, I was listening to the audiobook, right? And I was like, the entire time I was like, could not put this down. Didn't want to either, but I just couldn't. The slow burn in bourbon and lies, it was delicious. Now this is a spicy series and I tried keeping up with the spicy scenes for you. And it is still a very delicious read, even if you skip the spicy scenes. There is just the tension between them, I love it so much. There is one rule in Fiasco, Kentucky, and that is that you never fall for a fox brother. And that is because any woman who did ended up dead. The first book is about Lainey and Grant. Lainey is bratty and sassy and she puts you in your place. She is in witness protection after surviving something terrible, but saving someone's life. Now she goes to Fiasco, Kentucky to live in witness protection and she gets to live with the Fox brothers because it was a favor to the agent. She starts working there and learning about bourbon because these men have the best bourbon there is, or so they say. At first I thought it would be kind of a dark romance story kind of thing, but it was giving more of a western kind of thing. And I'm here for it. I'm so here for it. One morning she meets Grant and from that moment on she called him Cowboy because she met him on a horse. Hee-haw, girl! Lainey obviously cannot tell the truth as why she's there, so she needs to come up with lies because, well, witness protection, hello. But Grant used to work for the police and he's digging up truth, you know? He's like, what are you doing in my place? And I cannot get you out of my mind. I need to unravel all the truths. Well, that's where the problem goes because apparently her past will be connected to his past. It was tragic, beautiful, amazing, delicious again. It is my favorite so far. Then the second book is also about one of the Fox brothers. He's a single dad and he will fall for a burlesque dancer who is also secretly working for the FBI or police. She has the most amazing job. She's a burlesque dancer while solving crimes. I mean, she might be the coolest woman I've ever read about. Girl, you're amazing. Now don't get me wrong, the Fox brothers, they are chef's kiss. But these women are everything. I have a huge girl crush on these women. No, girls, for real. If you want to read adult romances with suspense, go pick up Katherine Cowles or this Bourbon Boy series. Chef's kiss. Those were the 16 books I read in April. I love this reading month so much. I'm blushing all the way. I hope I convinced you all to try out some of these and let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to drink your water and I hope to see you girls in the next video. Bye besties!